What's going on, guys? Capine here and welcome back. And in this video, I'll be featuring the team I used to hit expert rank in the Ultra League Holiday Cup. I will be honest, it did take me a little bit to find a good team for this cup, but oh boy did we find a good one. We all know how good the Giratina Charizard core is, so why not throw in another fire flying that has already proven itself to be a staple in the Ultra League. Giratina on the lead, Charizard on the safe swap, and Talonflame in the back. I've managed to climb around 300 points in about 3 days, bringing me up past the expert rank. And in the first half of this video, I'll be showing you how to play out various leads, and the second half will be the battles that got me to the rank of expert. Hopefully you can make use of this team in the last day of this cup before it rotates out, but if not, keep it in mind for when the Ultra League Holiday Cup comes around next year. And with that, let's get into the battles. Alright, getting to the first battle, we lead Giratina into the mirror. What I like to do is I just stay into the mirror match, throw the Dragon Claw as soon as I get it, and whether I do win CMP or I lose it, in this case I lose it, but whether I win it or lose it, I like to load up to the next Dragon Claw, as you'll see, and then catch onto my Charizard, because then 1, we waste their energy, 2, we have a Dragon Claw stored that could be potentially more useful against whatever they have in the back, and 3, we bait out their hardest counter to the Fire Flying type, which in this case is an Obstagoon, which is not a good counter. So we're looking to be in pretty good shape if this is their best answer. They throw off a Nightslash. I'm going to load up, throw off a Blast Burn, see if my opponent wants to give up a shield or not, which they do. That's perfectly fine by me because we get to this next Blast Burn, we throw it on the CMP tie, which is perfect. So either we do hefty damage against the Obstagoon or get their final shield. We get their final shield, and because it's a CMP tie, we are perfectly fine letting it go. And now from this part, we'll bring in our Talonflame with a 2 shield advantage, which is fantastic for us. So Obstagoon's going to throw off a Nightslash right here. Still don't need a shield yet, just in case they do get the boost and Nightslash doesn't do too much damage to us. Good catch by my opponent. They catch the Flame Charge onto the Giratina. Very nice play. But unfortunately for them, we now have a boosted Talonflame with 2 shields, who is going to absolutely eviscerate the Shadow Charizard with a Brave Bird. Brave Bird coming through. See you later, Charizard. Now we swap into our Giratina just to reset our debuff. And since we do have that Dragon Claw banked from earlier, we will throw that off and force the Obstagoon to throw a move at us. Otherwise, we will Dragon Breath down in time. They go for the Obstruct. Either way, this game was in the bag, as we do reach the Dragon Claw in time to take out the Obstagoon. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, we lead Giratina into Alolan Ninetales. Terrible lead for us, but we do fortunately have 2 answers for this in the back, so we swap into our Charizard and they bring in Magneton, and now this becomes a baiting game. Do we go straight for the Blast Burn or do we bait with a Dragon Claw? If we are successfully able to double bait with the Dragon Claw, we will reach the Blast Burn and get switch advantage, but if they call the Dragon Claw, we won't. Obviously we'll lose switch advantage, so it's a very tough situation for us, but step 1 of 2 done. We are able to successfully bait with the Dragon Claw, and we're going for it again. Do we get it twice? Will we get the second shield from our opponent? And we do. Now that's huge because we have the Blast Burn loaded. This will take out the Magneton, and now we have the alignment that we want with our Talonflame on the Alolan Ninetales. See what their third Pokemon is that they bring in? It's a Shadow Ampharos. And I'm going to go straight for this Dragon Claw right here. I may have been able to reach the Blast Burn, but I didn't want to take any chances and just wanted to get any guaranteed damage off against the Shadow Ampharos that I could. So now we bring in our Giratina. They bring in Alolan Ninetales. And here, I'm going to load up to 100 energy before I throw my Flame Charge. That way, 1, the Flame Charge takes the Alolan Ninetales out. And 2, we have a move stored for the Ampharos when it comes back in. So we get to 100 energy, takes out the Alolan Ninetales, and the second Flame Charge should just about take out the Ampharos. Ampharos does live on 1 HP, but that's okay because the next Incinerate does take it out. GG's. Next battle, leading Giratina into Virizion. The best possible lead we can see with this team since our whole entire team beats it. If our opponent, what I like to do in this matchup is I like to just stay in, and because your opponent's most likely going to swap out. So that way you can see whether you want to stay in with Giratina, come in with Charizard, come in with Talonflame, whichever one. And switch advantage doesn't really matter too much since you do have 3 fantastic answers for it. But if your opponent does stay in the Giratina matchup, I like to switch into my Charizard after they throw their first Stone Edge in order to bait out their best answer to the Fire Flying type. Now let's match up against Snorlax. We are just barely able to farm down at time. We leave with 100 energy, see what my opponent wants to bring in. They bring in an Aurorus, so we're going to fire off this first Flame Charge. It gets their first shield, and that's huge because now the second Flame Charge is either going to get their second shield or do a decent amount of damage, and it gets their second shield. And that's perfectly fine. You may think this is a bad situation, but no, watch. We bring in Charizard, we load up, and we're gonna catch on Giratina just as soon as they reach the Meteor Beam. This isn't quite wasting their energy since Meteor Beam still does a ton of damage, but it gives our Charizard a lot of flexibility in the end game since this Aurorus is now basically energy dry. So we're gonna load up on energy. We bring the Aurorus to a point where a Blast Burn and a Dragon Claw will knock it out, but they make a catch on their Virizion. Fantastic catch. So we're going to undercharge it to a nice, get the perfect farm down right before they reach a Stone Edge, leave with a Blast Burn and a Dragon Claw, which would take out the Aurorus. My opponent realizes that, they concede. GG's to them. Next match, Giratina into a Charizard. Pretty good lead for us. My opponent switches into an Obstagoon, and I meet it with my Talonflame. Now this isn't necessarily a bait dependent matchup, but Obstagoon's quite bulky. So if we're able to successfully bait the Flame Charge and land a Brave Bird, that's great. So on and so forth, but it all comes down to personal preference. Here after a little lag, we do land this Flame Charge. Our opponent calls it. Nice on them. But we're not in risk of being farmed down at any point, so we can let this Nightslash go. Throw one more Incinerate. Throw off this next Flame Charge, see what my opponent wants to do. It does get their first shield, so they're trying to make a play for a switch, but I am not going to let this happen. And they throw on alignment, so I get a free Flame Charge through. And that allows me to farm down the Obstagoon and leave with a ton of energy. Now the Charizard comes back in. It is going to have to respect this Brave Bird or get one shot, which they do. Now I have shield advantage and keep alignment. They bring in Alolan Ninetales. I pivot in my Charizard, and that is a good game. GG's. Next matchup. Lead Giratina into Galvantula. Fantastic lead for me. See what my opponent's going to swap into, and they swap out into a Shadow Ampharos. And here, we're going to have to stay in. This is a little tricky since we are running a double flying back line, and they have both a Galvantula and an Ampharos. We're going to have to play this one a little differently. We do take the first Brutal Swing and we swap immediately to catch the next Brutal Swing. That's great because we can easily let that go. And now farm up energy. I'm going to throw this Dragon Claw right before they reach their next move in order to entice them not to shield since they know that they survive a Dragon Claw. But my opponent gets greedy. They go for the farm down and reach another Dragon Claw. So now we either go up 2 shields to 0 or maintain switch, and my opponent opts for the 2 shields to 0. And since I know that they're going to throw their energy right away, I come out of Talonflame to get an entire free Incinerate, which is fantastic for us because now against this Galvantula, this Incinerate's going to knock it out. And we still have a shield advantage. See ya, Galvantula. They bring in a Shadow Magnezone, so triple electric team by my opponent. Very, very cool team, but unfortunately we were able to play around that despite our double fire backline. Now getting to the expert set, we lead Giratina into the mirror. We know how we play this out. We throw the Dragon Claw right away, show our opponent the CMP tie so that they know just as much as we do which plays to our advantage. We lose it in this case. We no shield, they no shield. Now we're same as last time, load up to the Dragon Claw, switch into our Charizard just as soon as we get to the Dragon Claw, absorb all this damage, see what answer they have to our Charizard, and it's a Shadow Magnezone. So just like the matchup against the Magneton, becomes a baiting game. I am going to bait with the Dragon Claw, and since I'm so low, I'm calling that they're going to throw Mirror Shot, not a Wild Charge, that they don't want to debuff themselves. And that's exactly what they do, which is great, because not only do we get a shield with that Dragon Claw, but now we shield up this next Mirror Shot, we're going to reach this Blast Burn and either get their final shield or get switch advantage, whichever one that they want. We get shield advantage, and that's fantastic because now I can bring in my Talonflame, load up on tons of energy. I will have to respect this Wild Charge right here. It's only a Mirror Shot, nice bait by them, and because of that, I'm gonna have to throw this Flame Charge, but they catch on their Giratina. So very, very nice play by my opponent. See if they were going to come back in with their Shadow Magnezone, and if they do, I would have to be careful of a Wild Charge, but they come into the Lapras, and now this is very, very difficult because Lapras does have access to Surf, and since they were only 2 off, I do wait a turn to try and potentially catch the Surf, but unfortunately my opponent was patient with their energy. Very good for them, and they're able to farm down my Giratina, get the Surf off, which will take out my Talonflame, and unfortunately my opponent does take this one. GG's, very well played. Getting into the next battle, we lead Giratina into Virizion. Fantastic lead for us, and see what my opponent wants to do. They're going to swap into Walrein, so we're going to meet it with Talonflame. And I'm reading that this is the very popular team from Home Slice Henry that he used to reach Legend with. And the reason why I'm coming in with Talonflame here, even though Charizard is the better answer, is because we can either get shield advantage, switch advantage, or an energy advantage on our Charizard, all of which I am perfectly fine with in this matchup, as it goes a long way against the Aurorus. So we will shield up that first Icicle Spear. We get the first shield from our opponent, and they are going to throw this next Icicle Spear against the Talonflame. And here, I'm going to go down 2 shields. And if my opponent goes down 2 shields here to keep switch, then I just bring in my Charizard and get a huge energy advantage, which would then be able to handle with the Aurorus that they bring in afterwards with Blast Burn. But in this case, they decide to take the switch advantage, and that's perfectly fine because I get the shield back here. And it ends up being a CMP tie, which is even better. They undercharge, so I'm going to switch right into my Charizard right away. And we are going to get to this Blast Burn on the CMP tie. If my opponent made a catch, then we would undercharge it just like you saw in the previous video, or in the previous battle against when they made the catch on the Virizion. But in this case, it's a CMP tie, which is even better for us because now we get to come in with the Giratina, farm down the Aurorus, and that Virizion has nowhere to go as Giratina does win that matchup. So our opponent concedes. GG's. Next battle, Giratina into the Mirror. We've seen this plenty of times before. We're going to play this out the same way, except this one is Shadow Claw, which is very surprising since Shadow Claw does seem to be the worst moveset, but probably works well with my opponent's team. We'll have to see. That first Dragon Claw does land, and theirs is going to land as well. And now here, they're going to throw right away. I was planning on catching, but my opponent throws right away. So a little missed time by me, but that's perfectly fine because now we get switch advantage as well. Or shield advantage, where my opponent does right there, which works perfectly for us. So now I get to switch into my Charizard. We shield up the Ancient Power, and now I have an energy lead against whatever they bring in, which is their own Charizard. So since we have this energy lead, no baiting here, going straight for the Blast Burn. It lands, does big damage against their Charizard. I'm expecting them to go for the Blast Burn as well, which they do. Now here, I'm going to load up. Dragon Claw might have been able to kill from here, but I wasn't completely sure, so I want to do the sure thing and take it out with a Blast Burn. and in comes an Obstagoon. So we're gonna commit to this Blast Burn. We fall just short, but that is all right since we do have a Talonflame, which resists the counters from the Obstagoon. First Nightslash coming through. We're not gonna shield it just in case they do get the boost. No boost, thankfully, but they are already at another Nightslash. We're gonna let this one go as well. Now, I over farm here, reading that they're going to catch. So we're able to farm down the Giratina, leave with a Brave Bird, which we do land against the Obstagoon. And now we can just incinerate all the way down. GG's. Next battle, we lead Giratina into Alolan Sandslash. Terrible lead for us, but we do have one really good answer and one decent answer in the back, so we're going to switch it to our decent answer. And they respond with Giratina. So we are going to throw off the Dragon Claw. It's going to let it go. We do have to watch out for the ancient power that this Giratina throws in return. We are going to respect it with the shield, and they do bait us with the Dragon Claw. Nice bait by them. That's perfectly fine because we are going to reach the back-to-back Dragon Claws in order to get switch advantage or get that shield back. In this case, they throw off a Dragon Claw. That's perfectly fine. I can let it go because we can survive it. Get off this next Dragon Claw, which does get the shield back. And then from here, I'm going to come in with my own Giratina, swap it to my Talonflame to try and snipe it and get an Incinerate advantage. But unfortunately, we're not able to in time as they do reach a Dragon Claw. That's okay since Dragon Claw is a somewhat poor soft hitting move, I should say, from Giratina. And since they come back in with Alolan Sandslash here, there's only one other Pokemon they could have in the back. That's Alolan Ninetales. Otherwise, there's no way they would bring Alolan Sandslash into this matchup. And that is perfectly fine because here, we can just farm down this Alolan Sandslash all the way. I make a pretty big mistake right here. I go for the Flame Charge. I should really be going for the Brave Bird since Brave Bird will be doing more damage. And now this is going to be a close matchup because an Ancient Power isn't quite going to KO the Alolan Ninetales, and they are going to be able to reach a Weather Ball in time, which they do right here. And is a Weather Ball going to be enough to take out Giratina? It's going to be very close. We just hang on, take out the Alolan Ninetales, and that is a GG's. Getting into the fifth battle of my expert set, we're currently 3-1, needing one more win to clutch up the expert rank. Heading into a Gliscor Lead, they swap into a Jellicent. I don't really have a good answer for the Jellicent, so I'm going to stay in with my Giratina, throw off this Dragon Claw for some chip damage, and then dip into my Charizard. See if my opponent wants to bait the Bubble Beam or go for the Shadow Ball. They go straight for the Shadow Ball. So good play for them. I'm going to load up on more energy, throw this Dragon Claw on good timing. Does some nice chip damage. My opponent's going to go for another move. I'm going to let this go. If they go for a Shadow Ball, so be it. Or I'm going to shield up actually, which they do go for the Shadow Ball because now I can reach 2 Dragon Claws to either get switch advantage or get both their shields. And we do get switch advantage. So they come in with the Gliscor, and we're able to reach 2 more Dragon Claws, which is huge. Because the first one, which they were expecting to be a Blast Burn, they get the shield, but they make a very, very nice catch onto their Magneton in the next matchup. So here, I just bring in my Talonflame, and I'm able to get a ton of energy with these Incinerates. Damage and energy. I'm going to throw one more Incinerate. I won't be able to farm down because they will reach another Discharge in time, but this either takes out the Magneton or gets their last shield. It takes out the Magneton, and Gliscor is going to start throwing off these Night Slashes. Doesn't do too much damage, so I'm going to throw another Incinerate. I will be able to survive this one. Not too worried about it. Now I'm going to throw off this Brave Bird as soon as I get it. Not willing to take any chances, guarantees the shield, and now I can bring in my Giratina, and we'll be able to take this one going straight Dragon Breath and Dragon Claw. My opponent lands an Earthquake, and that's a ton of damage. So hopefully we can outpace, which we should. And we get to the Dragon Claw right before they reach their next Nightslash. So very, very close game. Well played by my opponent. Seems like they exited the app right here. That's perfectly fine. Dragon Claw goes through, and we're able to clutch the 4-1. See what this brings us up to. 2772, clutching the expert rank. So hopefully you guys are able to make good use of this team on the final day of the Ultra League Holiday Cup before it rotates out and leaves us for the Master League. And a little bit of a side note, I'll be competing in the San Diego Regional Championships this weekend starting on January 7th. So if you are interested and watch those streams, be sure to look out for me. Hopefully I can do well, and who knows, you may just get a face reveal on stream. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.